What's up, guys? We are back with another review. We're taking a look at some Diamond Select figures today. We're taking a look at one of my favorite movies of the 80s. We're taking a look at some Tron figures. So these are the most recent release from Diamond Select. These are not the Walgreens exclusive versions. These are the more deluxe releases that are more widely available. So they're in a different set of packaging, and they just have more stuff in general, and a little bit of a change up in some paint ways as far as some of the figures go. So we're taking a look at two figures today. We have got the Tron figure, and then we've got SARK as well. So these guys come in newer style, smaller format blister card packaging compared to some of the normal larger bookend style Diamond stuff. And you've got the figures there in the window, you've got the Tron logo down there on the bottom, and then the back of the package has that kind of famous shot from the movie, as well as a cross-sell for all the figures that are in this new deluxe wave. So let's do it. Let's pull these guys out and take a look. And here we go. Out of the package are Deluxe Diamond Select Tron figures. So there's obviously a little bit of a difference here between filming that intro and actually doing this review. Diamond sent over the Infiltrator Flynn to complete the set. So in the sake of full disclosure, we might as well get it out of the way. These figures were provided for review by Diamond, and I'm really excited to take a look at these because I have already looked at one of the regular Walgreens figures, the exclusive regular Flynn, not the Infiltrator version. And these guys are similar, but they have a little bit different paint applications, and then they come with more stuff. So let's take a look and see how they move around. I'm going to use Tron as the base here, and then we'll talk about the other two because they're very similar, all three of them, but these two pose a little bit of changes just because of their design. So as far as moving these guys around, they are pretty standard for the most part. There's not going to be anything here that maybe blows you away, but they do move pretty nicely. The head is on a ball peg, but it really just kind of looks down a little bit. He can look straight ahead and then down. You've got some rotation there. Arms go out at the shoulders. You've got shoulder pads to worry about. They rotate. You do have a bicep swivel. You've got really good double jointed elbows. Those are quite mobile. And then you've got hinges and rotation at the wrist. They do have the guards on their wrists, so you have to worry about those as well. He's got a diaphragm cut, so he goes side to side as far as rotation. There's not a whole lot of movement there, though. He just basically bobbles back and forth, and there is also a waist twist down here. Sometimes it can be a little hard to actually engage that because you're moving the diaphragm as well. Legs go out, they kick forward, they kick backward a decent bit. You can sort of swivel it there. It's not actually a cut. The cut is closer to the knee for rotation there. Double jointed knees, and then you've got rocker and you've got hinges down at those ankles. So if you've seen any of the Walgreens figures, these are the same. You won't be surprised with how this guy moves, but I think he moves well enough. The other two figures, though, they do have a little bit of extra stuff, so to speak, that kind of gets in the way. Now, when it comes to Flynn, it's kind of obvious what's different here. He's got the toga thing going on. He is basically the same kind of figure as Tron. There's just this thing getting in the way, and it's not too restrictive, but of course it does hamper him a little bit. It doesn't really stop the diaphragm cut too much. It is, of course, going to get in the way, but he can still twist. And it doesn't bother the waist twist either. What it really hinders is the arm movement on his left, your right. You really can only do so much with it. So it does get in the way a little bit. Otherwise, though, he moves pretty much exactly the same as the Tron figure. Now with SARK, though, he does have a little bit different construction. The head is different, so he basically just swivels. There's not even an option to really bobble. It can a smidge, but he's got the big hood on, so it doesn't really do much. And then he's got a different torso system. So he's got a different cut. It's closer to his waist, but it's still not just a cut at the waist. So he actually moves a little bit better, side to side, backwards, forwards, and then rotation. And then there is a waist twist down here as well. So you've got a, I don't know, like a belly button cut, and then you've also got a waist twist down there. The rest of the figure, though, is very reminiscent of the other two. They're all really similar outside of the torso area right there. Where these figures really shine for me, though, is the aesthetics. When it came to the Walgreens exclusive Flynn that I had, it was all about the looks there, too. I really wanted that figure because he looked cool, and frankly, that's a huge selling point here, because these figures do look really good. There is a tremendous amount of paint on these guys. They are literally covered in paint from head to toe, and they sport some really fantastic likenesses too. The head sculpts on all three figures are very, very reminiscent of their actual real-life counterparts in the film, so I'm really happy with how these guys turned out. They are, of course, really similar. There are just a few cosmetic differences between the majority of the figures. Granted, there is a lot of difference when it comes to the circuitry design and how they actually have their designs pattern on their suits, but that's superficial kind of stuff. The rest of the things are little differences, like Flynn not having 2 arm guards, or their helmet designs being different. Sark, of course, is an actual big bad guy, so he looks a little more evil with his headgear, and he's got, he's got the different colors. So you've got the different colors for the orange, red for the bad guys when it comes to the evil suits, and then you've got the blue for the good. And what I really like on these figures is that a lot of these lines are actually sculpted in. Not all of them, but a large number of them are. Like all of the ones on Sark's midriff here, the huge V, that's all sculpted in and then painted, so it looks really crisp and clean. The rest is really fantastic tampo work, and I just dig the designs. I think they work really well. These figures translate exceptionally nicely into figure form. The characters themselves, this style, the very bright colors for the orange and red piping on the suits for the bad guys. And Tron looks fantastic as far as this kind of dull gray with the really bright blue piping that's all over the suit. So it's just a great amount of detail, a tremendous amount of paintwork, not just the blue and the orange-red color, but the entire figure is really painted head to toe. All of that flat gray color is painted exceptionally well. I don't have anything to complain about there. And really my favorite aspect of all 3 of these figures, outside of the fact that I just dig the design for Tron stuff in general, is the faces. They all look fantastic. They all look really reminiscent of their actor. The Jeff Bridges in particular looks fantastic. Sark's likeness here is spot on. It's really fantastic. I think the idea that it's not going to be ultra detailed honestly kind of helps this instance, because they can just layer it in paint, let the sculpt kind of shine through, and then it works. So they did a great job just making these guys look like they jumped right out of the movie. Now, where things get a bit of a shakeup between the Walgreens and Deluxe releases is undoubtedly accessories, because these guys actually come with a decent amount of them. The Walgreens really only came with the discs. So to start with, each figure has a stand, a little black stand with a peg on it. Nothing too crazy there. But then we've got some weaponry, and we've got hands, we've got a decent amount of stuff. So each figure comes with their disc. These pop onto their back, so Sark has an orange-red one, and Flynn's got an orange-red one, and Tron has a blue one, of course. So they all color code, they match. They've all got effect parts too. Sark has this translucent yellow, like kind of blasting forward disc effect. He's got this arcing disc effect, which I think these are all great. They look fantastic. I love translucent plastic, so it works really well. Tron has that same blasting forward disc effect. He's got an even longer arcing disc effect, which I really like the blue ones. I think they look fantastic. And Flynn might have the coolest one, because he's got the deflection one. So he's got a blue disc that's deflecting a red with the yellow trail, which I think this is just awesome. Big fan of this one. Really, all of the energy effects are incredibly well done. I'm a big fan of them. I think they work really nicely with these figures. The problem that the figures have is that they have a really hard time holding a lot of these things, because the hands are kind of weird. As you can see out of the box, none of them have gripping hands. They've all got just kind of flat, open palm hands. Sark has a set of slightly gripping hands. They're not really gripping and aren't exactly gripping enough for these. Flynn has got a set of style pose hands, so these obviously aren't going to really grip anything either. And then Tron comes with 4 hands. So he's got the same kind of style pose hands that Flynn has, but then he's got a different set of sort of non-gripping hands. These are just like where the fingers are bent at the last knuckle. So these are even a little bit more different. Kind of weird. The implementation on actually using these accessories is definitely a frustration point for me. I'm having a really hard time actually making them work. You'll see some pictures of these at the end, but they definitely can work, but it's going to take a little bit more patience than you might be used to. The other thing that's kind of a bummer with these is that these were originally supposed to come with Build-A-Figure parts. They were going to come with a Build-A-Figure recognizer, which it got scrapped at some point in production. It's not a huge deal, but it's definitely something that wasn't provided. Otherwise, though, I mean, I'm a big fan of what they gave us. We have a lot of stuff here. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff, but these are big accessory pieces. They have a little bit of weight to them, and they don't really have hands that are incredibly well suited for them. So at the end of the day, I do really like these figures. My one real gripe, pain point, frustration with these figures, whatever you want to call it, is accessories. I think they have a great selection. I think the effect pieces are just top-notch. I love everything about them. They absolutely capture the idea behind using the discs. The problem is using the discs. It's just a little difficult, and it's probably more difficult than it needs to be to actually have fun with them. It's definitely a frustration area. That's the easy way to say it. It's frustrating to actually get them to try to hold on to those and get them into a pose where they look like they're using them correctly. Otherwise, though, they move pretty well. They look fantastic. I can't stress that enough. They do look like they jumped right out of the movie. Paint's fantastic. Likenesses are spot on. These are really cool figures. If you're a Tron fan, there's really no reason not to get them, and these are by far the definitive versions as far as I'm concerned, just because they come with so much more stuff, and you can actually do a little more with them than what the Walgreens figures have. So that's going to do it for this look at the Diamond Select Deluxe Tron figures. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.